One question that comes up all the time from my clients is, should we actually go with Amazon based upon a lot of the negative press that they've read from Amazon? And that's one of the reasons why in today's video, we're going to talk about ex-employee warns us about Amazon KDP. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com, where self-publishing doesn't have to be so hard. So the thing is, this isn't just one client, but this is like several clients over the years who have asked me, maybe there's better options for when it comes to publishing your book and not going with the Amazon route. What they want to do is, though, they have their books, they're writers, they want to get them onto the market. But at the same time, they want to see where they can put them on the market, but without having to put it into the Amazon atmosphere, or KDP, or Kindle Direct Publishing. When they put their book on there, you have all the AIs that are being used in the algorithms in order to get books to people. But then they'd heard about maybe the working conditions or issues about other books and content that was on Amazon, and they were thinking that maybe there has to be a better option if possible. And so one of the things they were focused a little bit on was in 2020, some of the articles that were coming out from Amazon revealing a lack of control of some of the content that was being put out and limitations on what types of content would fall as acceptable or unacceptable on the platform. And if they didn't find a place to put it where it would be ethically, where they could feel ethically they could place their books, they felt in a sense that those books would never get onto the market at all, or maybe there really wasn't another platform that would be a better option for them. So one of the options would be to try, like I suggest, Ingram Spark or Draft to Digital and doing it. But the problem is the audiences aren't the same size. You just don't have that same search engine with people with their credit cards out and ready to buy. The level of trust that they get with Amazon is so massive. And so many of them who just try it that one way, they don't have access to the ads and the profiles that are on there. And their books are almost always sold on Amazon anyways, even though they lose control. So what difference did it really make selling it on there as opposed to selling it directly on Amazon? The other thing is they tried selling directly from their own websites, but that requires you to know how to set up a website, how to do fulfillment of you need a payment gateway. You're going to need a way to fulfill the books. The people who purchase them, what device exactly are they going to read your books on? If it's going to be a Kindle, that requires some additional steps to figure out how to get a book onto the Kindle or these other devices. So this isn't as easy as it is when somebody purchases directly from Amazon and it's immediately available right in their library. And this ultimately left many of my clients feeling quite frustrated. So what happened is that talking with several of them, one of the things I was pointing out was back in 2020, you had an ex-employee warning us about Amazon KDP. There was actually a number of employees warning about a number of different subjects, but one of the things within Amazon KDP was that they discovered was that you could almost push anything onto the market without having any problems at all. All sorts of stuff that would qualify, some people might call hate writings or other things like that, hate speech, that would be coming out and being published and very easily. And on many of the websites that promote some of this literature, they were even commenting on the fact that it is so easy to game the algorithm. If you're using the right keywords and your content is of high enough quality with a good cover, you're able to use the very skills that I'm teaching on this channel to push material that could be objectionable. And Amazon was doing a couple of things. The first thing they were doing is that you have the AI that's watching how people respond on their website. So as their mouse is moving around and clicking on things, it's seeing, hey, they like this type of stuff. Very similar to the same sort of a thing you would see on Facebook. And based upon what a person clicks and purchases, it would then shove more of this material at them. And in reality, since there wasn't that tight of control on what a person could or couldn't put on there, because Amazon really didn't want to get in the way of that. They just wanted to be a platform where anybody could put almost anything, as long as the quality was of a certain standard, even if it's offensive material, without having to judge what it's about, and then that material would flow right on through. And if a person clicks on this link or buys that particular thing or spends too much time with this ad, then they would get more of that material. So Amazon themselves would be actually selling this, even though if you really listen to Amazon, they're not exactly on the side of some of the material they're selling. They would be on the other side of things, but that didn't really play that big of a role, but because the AIs themselves would ensure that Amazon was making as much money off these books as possible. The thing that's really interesting is a lot of the reasons I teach the things I do is exactly so that you can also understand how that algorithm works. So when the AI sees one of your books, it's going to put it at the top of the page and not at the bottom of the page. When a person buys a book similar to your book, it's going to group your book with these bestsellers and serve your books up as well. These are the very techniques that some of these people within these hate speech groups would be using on Amazon, but using it for maybe a more evil use than a positive use. Does that make sense? And so one of the things I will always tell my clients on this particular issue, it's that you should be putting out positive books. We're not looking for negative books that are really pulling people down, but putting out positive books. And you know what? I tell everybody, put it on Amazon. Unless you're famous and multi-billionaire, put your books on Amazon. And the reason is you're going to start pushing the positive side and teaching their algorithms that, yes, these books can also make sales. I have not had any clients who wanted to push some sort of negative, dark, evil type books on Amazon. Almost 100% of all the clients I work with are pushing books that are encouraging, self-help, fantastic stories, things that your average reader would really wish to read anyways. And so by putting this positive ones there, we're pushing on the positive side of things. And the other thing that is important to remember is that as a new author, it's not the time to protest, resulting in us getting no sales. Now is the time to build up an audience, to start building that momentum. And then what happens is you'll start seeing this money start flowing off of your books, assuming we're in a profitable niche. And the end result happens to be, as we keep turning the crank on this, is that you'll start to see these sales, and that will bring quite a bit of money in if you're doing everything exactly correctly. The other thing that's important to remember is that you can take this money and give it to causes that would fight against certain things. There's all sorts of movements that are against and trying to shut down some content that is being pushed on the internet or being pushed perhaps through Amazon or Facebook or some of these other sites, fake news or whatever it might be, that you're opposed to. And that gives you the ability to use this very money you're making in order to fight against these things while you're putting your positive books and your positive energy into the market so that you would be able to make sure that everything is under control. And this is just something that so many people, so many new writers, they think I'm going to become an activist, and so I refuse to put my book anywhere where the readers are going to be, where they would actually buy the books. And I just don't understand this concept of activism. I think it's great, donating your time and energy, donating your money, that's fine. But the idea when it comes to your books, why would you not want to encourage getting sales, as many sales as possible, so you can push this positive spirit into the world with what you're doing, if that makes any sense at all. And that's one of the reasons why I like to sit down with my clients and do out a self-publishing journey map with every single person, even people who just do a discovery session with me where we're able to see where you're at and where you're headed. And if you don't want to do Amazon, I talk with clients about how to get around that. Well, with KDP, Draft to Digital, it depends upon your situation. And that's one of the reasons I would suggest to check out below in the description and book a discovery session with me, and we can just absolutely free and zero commitment. You will walk away with a clear vision of where you're headed with your books. You're going to have this free map I will draw out for you so that you'll know your self-publishing journey map, exactly which steps are coming next and how to go about attacking those steps. And if you don't like Amazon and you're listening to this ex-employee who's telling you this is like the worst thing ever, well then we can find ways to work around that. I don't recommend it, but I'm always willing to work with clients to figure out what is in your best interest and what your own conscience is able to tell you. Is this a bad thing for you? Is this something that you don't feel comfortable doing? Well, I have a whole series of ways of working around that if that's the desire, but I do not recommend that personally. So the thing is, a lot of the people that I was discussing this with, they realized, yes, they weren't going to be making money if they didn't get their books on Amazon, but then they didn't want to put it on Amazon. So a lot of them actually do, in the end, start putting the books on Amazon. They can set up their profile. They're able to put this light out there with regards to their books. And then what happens is they're able to take those earnings and give them to causes that they support that fight against some of these other books. Because the reality is those books are going to continue to sell on there unless somebody is pushing back against Amazon with regards to these specific books in these areas. I have seen, I can't say, since 2020, some of these books have been taken down, and Amazon is in fact doing much more restriction, they're enforcing more restrictive policies, but still you can always find some books that are quite objectionable. And we want to give your book the absolute best chance to sell as many copies as possible so that you too can become a bestseller. And I personally believe that all of you writers out there have that ability to become a bestseller on Amazon. That is something you absolutely have the ability to do, but it does take persistence. And that's one thing I never tell you is that, oh, it's going to be easy in terms of you can just do it in a month or two. I'm telling you, it's going to take some dedication. The easy part is the steps, and that's what I like to take you through, showing you how easy each and individual step that's required to get there, what you need to do. And so that's one of the big ones there. But my question for you today that I need to know is, do you have a problem, an ethical problem with selling your books on Amazon KDP? If you do, write yes below in the comments. And if you have no problem, you don't see any issues with Amazon, then write no below in the comments, because I need to understand better where you, my viewers and listeners and readers, are coming from when it comes to your specific books. And check out a video up here, and I'll see you over there. Thanks.